Um, we started. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the newspapers, just to run through newspapers and see how much sense it actually makes. And we're going to review these really quick. It's not going to be like the other shows where we just talk and talk and talk all day. BPL, education, central bank, WTO. And today, I wanted to bring in somebody to talk about BPL. Because whether you know it or not, there's a large portion of this island that was in the dark over the weekend. And they weren't very happy for as much as 12 hours. Cable Beach has been going off, I'm told, twice a day. And this is how we're generating power right now, as you can see in the background. We have 80 little generators in a container, and each one is making a little bit of electricity. And we're tying them all together, trying to keep a network and a country powered up. We should have at least 3 layers of energy security. First one could be fossil fuel, but not what we've been burning. It's very dangerous what we've been burning. It pollutes. And we're going to pay a fine for that eventually if we're not paying it now with the agreements we've signed. We can move into LNG, liquefied natural gas, which you've heard a lot about lately. But that's been spoken to by Leslie Miller from 2008. When in Bimini, the AES Corporation wanted to bring natural gas to the Bahamas, and we had people, environmentalists, saying it would destroy the environment, it could blow up, it could be dangerous, a whole bunch of reasons why we shouldn't have done it. And now we want to put that same fuel source downtown near the fish fry. What happens if it's dangerous and blows up there? And so we need to look at that a little closer. There was a recommendation that would have had us up and running 3 years ago when John Bostwick and myself spoke on the panel of the Chamber of Commerce when we mentioned liquefied natural gas on a barge that could simply float in and be hooked up. The maintenance, the fuel, the generator, all someone else's problem. But we could have cut our light bill in half by simply using that method. That's a short-term fix. From there, we could have gone to solar energy. But we never embraced it. We just talk. And now you see in the paper today, more blackouts. So are we trying to frustrate our power company so that we can sell it? And what do I mean by that? Well, remember the phone company when we said that it wasn't working well, and then we gave the reason that we could have other competition come in and the prices would go down, would get better. Frustrated it to sell it. And now we gave away something that we owned forever. The problem is we don't own our phone company anymore. Foreigners own it. And is that what we're trying to do with our power company? Sell it off so someone else will own it? This is a disgrace on how we're making power out here, by the way. So, short-term fix, float in some barges with LNG liquid gas, and you have that set up where you have the backbone, the grid, the wires, because you have power generation and you have the grid, the wires. And if down the center of the Bahamas, when you're driving from Clifton Pier, you see those big galvanized lamp poles, those should run all the way to East End. That would be the backbone. And then off of that would come all the smaller wires underground to the different constituencies. And so we'd be making ourselves hurricane resistant when it comes to how we provide the country with power. And you wouldn't have 3 weeks without power when a hurricane did hit. You can give me a call, or you can message me on Facebook, or you can call with the number that's right here. The sad thing is we could have moved into solar after the instant short-term fix to get rid of all the blackouts with a barge out at Clifton and a barge in the harbor. So you would have one east and one west. In case something happened to the wires, you could switch the power from either side instead of relying on what we have now that obviously doesn't work And we've had many different governments and ministers of environment. Obviously, what we've been doing doesn't work because it stayed the same. And then we should have looked at going into solar. 20 years ago with Mike Smith, I spoke on Love 97 about us doing solar. We never did the solar. You're seeing more and more individuals getting solar now, but the grid, the wires, may not be prepared to handle all these different people all over the place starting to make energy. And that's a whole nother subject. I'm going to bring in some experts in the energy sector to explain those to you in great detail as we move on. So obviously, this should not even be an issue. For the last 50 years, we've had the same problem, and no one really has given us a plan on how to fix it. The second thing I want to move on to today is WTO, which all this ties in because you can have people come here and they can start to tell us they're going to do a power company. And they're going to bring their people in to do it. And so we see on a different note, but it ties in, the Prime Minister declares a war on crime, but the statement is, warns a nation, you must defend itself or be destroyed. Now, if we must defend ourselves or be destroyed, I say we need to defend ourselves from the business section of today, the WTO. At the bottom there, you see Mr. Robert Myers speaking, and he says, and it's very interesting, he told the Tribune Business that the private sector faces a very scary, daunting reality because it still lacks a level playing field with foreign rivals when it comes to the cost of competitiveness. What does this mean? This means that a foreigner can come here and do whatever we do, but they can do it for less because they have more money. They can sell a product cheaper than you, putting you out of business. They can come with technology and human capital and resources and marketing that you could never achieve. So take a look at that today because it's very devastating what that says. And even more disturbing is if you look in the business section of the Guardian today, you see a new bank, a new company, a new facility that wants to help you trade stock, right? Why do we have a central bank restricting me? This new company, right, wants to facilitate the exchange control process with the central bank for you. Well, thanks. Why don't you just get rid of all central bank restrictions on all Bahamians, because these people, they don't look like the majority of Bahamians. Do they? But they're going to help you buy some stock. Well, move the restrictions off of me with central bank and getting US dollars and being able to trade globally. Then I could do it for myself and I wouldn't have to pay a commission or a fee to anyone. I don't think people really want to help me for free, do they? Because if they did, Bain and Grantstown wouldn't look the way it looks. And after 50 years, that's a shame anyway. And you're only putting $5 million into Bain and Grantstown. Can't tar a road. So to redevelop over the hill, you need more than $5 million. And finally, and lastly today, I'm going to keep a short show, is education. We're talking in The Guardian today about education. In 2010, when this device came out, the iPad, I said give every one of these to every student on JCN TV. And we didn't. We're now giving them to preschoolers. So what's going to happen to people in 12, 11, 10, 9, 8th grade? They're coming out of school not trained in this touch technology. Because you see, if you're using a backpack, a Milo Butler book, and a pencil to train, we're talking about VHSs in the paper today. What a joke. If you're using pen and paper to train people now, you're way behind 8 ball. So tomorrow, share the video. The shows are going to be short. I'm going to come in, I'm going to break down the newspapers, and people can call, weigh in if they wish, and if they don't, at least it'll be where you've seen what the newspaper had to say. And I'm going to try to get some guests on, but it all comes down to willingness to be seen on TV, because we really treat people bad sometimes in our country. So, stay tuned and let's fix the Bahamas.